And there's, of course, much to learn about the candle. That's, it's not just that we're lighting each night. Every single light is really, we're adding and growing spiritually. So, I'll read this article. Okay, it says, our festivals, in addition to their profound spiritual content, let's talk about in general the Jewish holidays, are bound up with historical happenings in the lives of our Jewish people. It's not just, another holiday. It's really something that binds us and connects us to the Jewish people of old, and continuing on to now. For example, Passover is the anniversary of our liberation from Egyptian slavery. Shavuot is the anniversary of the giving of the Torah on Mount Sinai. Sukkot reminds us of the 40 years wandering of our people through the wilderness on their way to the Promised Land, and of the divine protection and care which our ancestors enjoyed during those formative years as a fledgling nation. When the Jews were just becoming the Jewish nation, how they were protected. Purim reminds us of the miraculous deliverance of our people in the time of Mordechai and Esther, when the Jewish people were in exile under the rule of Persia and Media. Chanukah recalls the miraculous deliverance of our people through Matisyahu and his sons in the time of the Greek occupation of the land of Israel. Since each festival is connected with a particular historical event, each festival has its special customs that we do because we connect it to what happens, in addition to those shared by all the festivals. In addition, Chanukah stands out among the other festivals in that it is the only festival that originated in the land of Israel. The only one. All the things that happened in Egypt, happened in Persia, Chanukah is the only one that happened in the land of Israel. This is one thing that makes a difference. The miracles connected with Chanukah took place in our Holy Land, though it was under Greek occupation at that time. On the other hand, Chanukah has a certain similarity to two other festivals, Passover and Purim. These three festivals recall historic situations in which our entire Jewish people was threatened by a mighty despot, a Jew hater who dared to pit himself against the Almighty and the Jewish people. Their names are familiar: Pharaoh, king of Egypt; Haman, prime minister of Ahasuerus, king of Persia and Media; Antiochus, king of Syria, who ruled over a large part of the Greek Empire, including the land of Israel. Nevertheless, there is an important difference between Chanukah and the other two festivals in the nature of the threat and the deliverance. Pharaoh enslaved the Jews with hard labor and cruel decrees designed to reduce their numbers. The Jews were quite powerless. All they could do was pray to God, the God of their fathers, and God delivered them most wonderfully and miraculously. Haman planned to outdo the Pharaoh. He's like, okay, that's fine. He wanted to destroy all the Jews, men, women, and children, in one day. On learning of the plot, Mordechai and Esther ordained the Jews to pray and to fast, while they did what they could to frustrate Haman's plans. Again, God rescued his people in such a miraculous way that the tables were completely turned, and it was Haman and his followers who were destroyed. Purim, by the way, means pour, like a lock, like to literally turn things upside down. Now there's Antiochus. Antiochus attempted to outsmart both of them. He would not try to destroy the Jews so savagely. After all, he was a Greek philosopher, and it wasn't nice to destroy a whole people, young and old, women and children. No, Antiochus had no intention to destroy the Jewish people physically. Instead, he decided to destroy them spiritually. He would capture their souls by persuasion, if possible by force, if necessary. Antiochus did not threaten the Jews with taking their land away, or to drive them out, or to carry them off as exiles to Islam. On the contrary, he assured them that they could live peacefully in their land. All he wanted them to do was to abandon the Jewish life and begin to live the same way as he and all his subjects, namely to follow the customs of the Greeks, celebrate their festivals, and worship their gods. Indeed, Antiochus had some success at first. There were Jews, especially in the wealthier and upper class, who adopted Greek customs and celebrations and generally imitated their ways. They were called Hellenists, meaning imitators of the Greeks. But other Jews refused to be influenced. Then Antiochus issued decrees that forbade Jews to study Torah and observe its mitzvos. He even went so far as to desecrate the Beis HaMikdash, the Holy Temple in Jerusalem, and stop the holy services there. Jews who disobeyed his cruel orders were put to death. What could the Jews do? Pray to God? Of course. And pray they did, but the situation called for more than that. It was a test of Jewish faith and loyalty to God and to his Torah. This was a time to show that although they were few and weak in terms of physical strength, they were strong spiritually. So strong indeed that they were ready to fight for God and for the Torah, ready to sacrifice their lives for the sanctification of God's name. Under the inspiration and leadership of Matisyahu and his sons, who raised the banner of open resistance to Antiochus and all his mighty armies, they fought with total dedication. And with God's miraculous help, they won a complete victory. God delivered the mighty and many wicked into the hands of the few and weak militarily, righteous Jewish fighters. Reflecting on what happened in those days at this time, we can see that Antiochus was a more dangerous enemy than Pharaoh or Haman. These two were enemies who did not hide their intentions, but Antiochus presented himself as a friend, ready to bring new light and new vitality into Jewish life. You Jews, he told them, have a candle and a light, as you call your mitzvot and Torah, but it is a small light, and nobody else in the world has any use for it. I will give you a big and dazzling light by which all the people of the world accept you. But you must put out your little candle first. The Antiochus danger is always present, and in all places where Jews live, even in the land of Israel. There are strong influences of the environment that lure some Jews away from Torah and mitzvot by tempting them with new and enticing ideas and ways. The victims are usually young Jews with little or no Jewish education and background. There is a great need to reach out to these misguided young people and to generally spread and strengthen the light of Torah and mitzvot.
Amen.
Everybody who is aware of and concerned about this problem can do much in this direction by example and a sincere and loving approach. Often, even a modest beginning, like starting with one mitzvah, is enough to spark a chain reaction. Isn't this what the shamish in a Chanukah lamp is telling us? The shamish, by the way, is the lighter candle. We take there's 8 candles in the shamish, and we take the shamish. It's interesting, the shamish doesn't count as one of the 8, okay? But it takes, and it lights all the other ones. By itself, it doesn't count. It can't count the shamish. That's why it's higher. And yet we need that to light all the other ones. Isn't this what the shamish in a Chanukah lamp is telling us? Look, it says, I'm only one little candle. But see how many candles I kindle. 1 today, 2 tomorrow, and so on and on. And those lights I kindle, each one can kindle just as many and more. Mm-hmm. Isn't it wonderful and exciting? And here is another thought that the Chanukah lights bring to mind. A Jew must not be satisfied to remain in one place in his Jewishness. However satisfactory that might be, one must strive to reach a higher level by learning more Torah and more mitzvot. This is the lesson we learn from the lighting the Chanukah lights. We light 1 candle the first night, and that's all that is necessary. But on the second night, having become older and wiser, we light 2 Chanukah lights, and on the following night, we light 3, and so on. This is the rule with all matters of Jewishness, Torah and mitzvot, and not only during the 8 days of Chanukah, but throughout the entire year. Have a truly good and bright Chanukah.
Amen.
So, I know this is like a little bit of an emotional, it's talk because of everything that's going on in the world. We're all, struggling for survival, and we should know that when we each, in our own lives, add a little bit more, where's the one little light, we never know how far-reaching it's going, because look, the Shamash says, I light one candle. Once I light that one candle can light endless more candles. Isn't it an interesting thing about fire that one candle, when I take my match